Most people think that the life of a conductor is all about waving a baton. Well, it's much more than that, especially in Lorin Maazel's case. His life was one of the most interesting stories. He was not universally beloved, but was recognized as brilliant. Today, I'd like to talk about Lorin Maazel's life, especially about his childhood, education, music career, his trip to North Korea, his work with Castleton, his death, and my Lorin Maazel. Let's begin with his childhood. Lorin Maazel was born on March 6, 1930 in Paris. Although his parents were American, they were American singer Lincoln Maazel and pianist Marie Vorenkov Maazel. At the age of 5, he started the piano, and at 7 took up the violin. When he was 8, he was taken to study with a man named Vladimir Bakulennikov, who was later sent him to a camp in Michigan, where he led the orchestra. He performed in World's Fair in New York and conducted it twice at the age of 9. When he was 11, he conducted the NBC Symphony, which was broadcast nationally from the Radio City Music Hall in New York. Many fans and people that worked with him gave him the nickname Little Lorin. He conducted most of the major American orchestras before he was 15. Although he was very busy with his conducting appearances, he kept up with his education. Lorin Maazel's education was different from regular students. When he was young, he was public schooled throughout his childhood, but while he was conducting future performances in his childhood, his performance career was quieter and became more calm during his adolescent years. He enrolled in courses at the University of Pittsburgh, where he studied languages, math, and philosophy. In 1951, when he was the age of 21, he received a Fulbright scholarship to study Renaissance Italian music in Rome, Italy. While still in school, he was invited to conduct several popular performances. In 1953, when he was 23, while still a student in Rome, he was invited to step in for ailing conductor at the Teatro Bellini in Catania. His success led him to engagement in Naples, Florence, elsewhere in Europe, Japan, Australia, and Latin America. Lorin Maazel was so successful and had so much fun conducting as a child, he wanted it to be part of his career. After conducting for a while, he continued with bigger performances throughout his older years. He conducted many famous concerts. Several of the concerts he conducted were straight from his memory. By 1960, he conducted about 300 concerts with more than 20 European orchestras. He became the music director of the New York Philharmonic, the Cleveland Orchestra, where he worked for 10 years, the Vienna State Opera, and other companies around the world. Several times in the later stages of his career, he announced that he was eschewing any further music directorships to devote himself more to composing. He had many accomplishments. In 1996, he upgraded his performance standards and won a Grammy for a recording of Tchaikovsky and Prokofiev works with the cellist Yo-Yo Ma. His first opera, 1984, based on the novel by George Orwell, had its world premiere at London's Covent Garden. Over the course of his lengthy career, he conducted more than 7,000 performances in concert halls and opera houses. He made more than 300 recordings. He even made his own concert arrangement of Wagner's Ring cycle, The Ring Without Words. A few extra notes about him and his music career. In 2013, the New York Times erected a bust of him sculpted by famous sculptor Helmut Million. At 30, he was the youngest conductor and the first American to work at the Bayreuth, which is the German shrine Richard Wagner built to himself and his music. During his career, Lorin Maazel took a very important trip to North Korea. He decided to perform a concert there. His plan at first drew protest. His concert was on February 26, 2008, in Pyongyang, North Korea. He thought the concert would bring the US and North Korea a tiny step closer. North Korea's state-run television and radio broadcast the concert live throughout the world. The New York Philharmonic became the first major American orchestra to perform in the insulated communist country. The host of the concert, Robert Siegel, said that there was a breakthrough in cultural exchanges when the New York Philharmonic played there. Christopher R. Hill suggested in a New York Times article, he said, it would signal that North Korea is beginning to come out of its shell, which everyone understands is a long process. Now, we'll talk about his most recent job, his work with the Castleton. Lorin Maazel built this 500-acre Castleton Festival to be a summer music school for young rising musicians around the world. At the Castleton, he conducts operas, different types of shows, musicals, and concerts. He founded it with his third wife in 2009 at the age of 79. He founded it next to his mansion on his farm in Rappahannock County, Virginia, which is home to an exotic animal, the zonkey, which is a combination of the zebra and the donkey. A few extra details about him and the Castleton. While he performs his shows there and he rehearses, he opens his home for all the young actors to practice in. He even invites children to perform, about my age, to perform in his operas and shows with the adults who have been doing this for a very long time. The Castleton had a $2.5 million annual operating budget, and inside of his home, he had British chamber opera staged in his home theater. Now, onto his death. He died at the age of 84 on July 13, 2014, at his home before a concert. The Washington Post reported that one of the festival's executive director said he had been suffering an explained illness following a kind of collapse from fatigue due to heavy travel and work appearances, including performances from the Castleton and with the Munich Philharmonic and Boston Symphony Orchestra. Before he died, he described working with the young orchestra and children as more than a labor of love, but a labor of joy. On the day of his death, the Castleton Festival was scheduled to offer a concert featuring 3 of his works, including a setting of Shel Silverstein's children's book, The Giving Tree. So, in conclusion, I want to speak about who Lorin Maazel is to me and my experience with him. What I think? I'm so appreciative that I could be a part of his wonderful talent and share in his generosity by being a part of 2 operas conducted by him. So, who was Lorin Maazel? Was he a child music prodigy, a famous musician, or just a simple conductor wanting to live his life his own way? To me, he was an inspiring life changer who I will never forget.